Wizard of Legend, developed by Contingent 99, started off confusing me. I expected to immediately be in a dungeon, go through a tutorial, and just have at it with various monsters that infested the place in roguelike fashion. While that did eventually happen, you're actually first thrust into the game in what looks like a surprisingly modern setting. You see people in casual clothes walking around and sitting on benches as they visit a museum that houses wizard artifacts. There are even curators behind information desks that give you tidbits of information about the world you're about to enter. You're taught about the various elemental arcana that you'll be using at your disposal: a basic attack, a dash, a standard attack, and a signature. And the staff even imbues you with simulated arcana to try out in certain areas as you move through the museum. It's like an interactive tutorial where you're one of only a few distinguishable people there, since you're wearing a bright red cloak. The controls, by the way, are very responsive. Eventually, you'll come upon an exhibit showcasing the 3 council members, read bosses, and they look pretty intimidating, each harnessing the powers of fire, earth, and ice. By the end of your interactive journey, you'll have learned a bit about how the game works, which includes a trip to a simulated chaos trial, which Wizard of Legend essentially revolves around. Of course, we won't be running around the museum forever. Once you expect a particular insignia surrounded by a group of people, will your actual foray into the chaos trials begin. Once conscious, you're transported into a medieval house that I'm positive is one of the wings from the Beast's mansion in Beauty and the Beast. You'll meet Varys, the enchanted looking glass, Tomi, a huge floating book that stores all the arcana that you'll gather, Mimi, a chest with eyeballs that snacks on relics you find, and finally Ward, a literal handlebar mustached wardrobe that collects all the enchanted attire you acquire, plus random brooms that will forever clean these dusty floors. When you teleport outside, you're greeted with shops that sell relics, arcana, and clothes. Then finally up north is the teleporter that'll send you to the Chaos Trials, and where the gameplay loop begins. Alright, so this is how Wizard of Legend plays out in a nutshell. You enter the Chaos Trials, the bosses you fight in order will be random, and each stage before the boss fight, of which there are 2, will be randomly generated. Each has their own theme based on fire, earth, and ice. From here you explore, fight enemies, gather chaos gems and gold, and eventually die on your way to fight the other 2 council members. You'll reappear in your house, but the chaos gems you've gathered will be kept. And with these gems, you'll purchase more arcana, relics, and attire until you've gathered yourself an arsenal of magical artifacts. And also, after each death, you'll learn about how to defeat enemies quicker, as well as the attack patterns for the bosses. It's a game of repetition, yes, but each run you begin to adapt, and what was tough at first becomes easier with experience and new skills. The dungeons themselves are similar in structure, but different in theme. But in all of them, there are places to dash across gaps, trap rooms where the only way out is to dispose of enemies, actual traps that can involve ice spikes and firewalls, along with mini puzzle rooms that require you to dash across platforms as a deadly bed of spikes lie below. There's definitely some variety, and there are some new instances that pop up that I haven't even seen before, like this piñata that you could burst if you could destroy it within about 3 or so seconds. Sadly, I could not at the time. Eventually, you'll find a sub-boss room that you activate to get to the next stage. The sub-bosses I fought include magic wielders, highly armored knights, and pinpoint accurate archers. They're fairly easy to defeat after you've deciphered their patterns. And while this dungeon is definitely out to kill you, there are various shops in certain corners of the map that offer arcana, relics, cursed relics, and potions for gold, a temporary currency that's used in the dungeon itself, meaning what you purchase with gold will also be temporary. However, during a given run, you could employ all the face buttons and shoulder buttons with arcana, plus relics, allowing you to hopefully go deeper in the dungeon. So overall, in my 2 hours with Wizard of Legend, I feel like I've experienced most of what the game has to offer in terms of its gameplay loop. I haven't defeated all the bosses, I just have the Earth boss Atlas left, but what makes me keep coming back is acquiring all the arcana I can with my leftover chaos gems, and creating combos that can hopefully make short work of all the enemies and bosses alike. And because there's a dizzying amount of powers, sometimes an arcana isn't to my preference. like the Wind Flurry skill that sends out daggers of air. I'm more of a mobile player, and you become stationary when using that skill, so I haven't touched it since. Of course, another player could be really awesome with this Arcana. It's all about experimentation. Once I found the Rock Fists that replaced the basic air attack, it was on. Once I added a Fire Dash, Lightning Strike, and kept the Fire Burst signature, especially when the meter is fully charged to give you some space, I found a skill set I'm comfortable with, but as more Arcana are learned, swapping skills in and out are all part of the fun. And once you become better, in retrospect, to how the game is structured, someone can definitely finish the game quickly once they've mastered the bosses and gained a cool skill set. There's always something new in terms of moves, and basically trying to be a better wizard is what pulls you forward. Knowledge is power, and with all the relics and elemental arcana in the palm of your hands, your legend is within your grasp. That's all for my impression, kind of review for Wizard of Legend. I did not get a chance to play local co-op. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and possibly a sub, and I'll see you in the next one.